All right, guys, we're looking at the second example in 6.2. So this is talking about finding the circumcenter, and specifically finding the circumcenter of the triangle with given points. We need to find the ordered pair. Okay, we looked at one before in the other video or during class where it was a right triangle, and the right triangle just meant that the circumcenter was going to be the midpoint of the hypotenuse. Nice and easy, right? Midpoint of the hypotenuse. Now we don't have a right triangle, okay? So we got to figure out how are we going to do this. And it's a little bit of a process, so make sure you're paying attention, taking notes. First thing we have to do is we want to graph it. We want to sketch it out, at least sketch it out. So we have a general idea of what we're dealing with and where this point should end up and all of that. Okay, it doesn't have to be a perfect graph, but at least sketch it out. So here we go. I've sketched out A, B, and C. And you see our problem up at the top. It is not a right triangle. Right? It's not a right triangle. But one side of your triangle will always be horizontal or vertical. Okay, out of the book, all the questions they give you, the one side will be horizontal or will be vertical. That's going to be our easy perpendicular bisector to find. We have to find that easy one. Okay, I say that it's easy because all we have to do is find the midpoint and then go straight up and down. And that's going to give us that perpendicular bisector. So the bottom is straight horizontal, right? So I'm going to find the midpoint between 1, 1 and 7, 1. It's going to be 4, 1. So 4, 1, that's going to be my midpoint. And I'm going to go straight vertical with my perpendicular bisector. Okay, that's the point 4, 1. I'm going straight vertical with it. So that's going to tell me that my circumcenter has to be on this line somewhere, right? Because all three lines are going to be concurrent. They're going to cross at one singular point. So that point has to be on this line somewhere. Well, this line, x is always 4, right? The equation of this line is x is equal to 4. So I know already that my circumcenter is going to be 4 comma something. I know this is going to be my circumcenter. 4 comma something, because it has to be on that line. Right now, they might give you a triangle that looks like this. That's fine. Now you've got a vertical side, find the midpoint and go straight horizontal. Then you'll know what y is equal to. Right? So they're going to give you one of those. They're going to give you one of the 2 points nice and easy by giving you either a horizontal or a vertical side. Use that first. Okay? So we're going to use that first. Now, we got to figure out where along that line are these other 2 perpendicular bisectors going to cross. To do that, we need to find another perpendicular bisector. Okay? So you can choose either side here. Okay? You can't choose BC because we already used BC, right? We already found the perpendicular bisector of BC. So we're either going to use AB or we're going to use AC. I'm going to use AB for right now. Okay? And I'm going to find the equation for the perpendicular bisector of AB. This is like the problems that we saw in 6.1. So I'm looking at AB. And I want the equation for the perpendicular bisector of AB. Because I want the equation for this line here. Okay, I want the equation of that line. So that's finding the midpoint. The midpoint here is going to be 1.5 comma 3.5. Okay, got some decimals. That's okay. But that's my midpoint between A and B. That's right here, right? 1.5, 3.5. And then I need to find the slope of BA. So we can either use slope formula, or if you did a good graph, then you can count your slope. Here I'm going up 5 over 1. The slope of A to B is 5. So my perpendicular slope is going to be a negative 1/5, right? Opposite reciprocal. So I find the slope between A and B. Opposite reciprocal, I get negative 1/5. Now I've got my midpoint, I've got my perpendicular slope. I can put that into point slope form. So that's going to be y minus 3.5 is equal to a negative 1/5 x minus 1.5. Okay, yes, I've got fractions, I've got decimals. It's okay. I've got a calculator. I can do it. Otherwise, you can do it in your head or write it down. That's fine too. But we shouldn't be scared of these fractions, of these decimals. from this point, and actually I'm going to stop right there, right? I'm not going to put it into y equals mx plus b because I don't have to. You could, but I don't have to. This is a perfectly valid equation for that line. Perfectly valid equation for that line is point slope form, right? A lot of times we get stuck in this, we have to do y equals mx plus b. You don't have to do y equals mx plus b here. All we have to do, remember, all we have to do is find our y value. We already know our x value. So we're going to take that equation, we're going to plug in a 4 for x. Because I know along that line, it has to be where x is equal to 4. So I'm going to take that 4, I'm going to plug it in. Y minus 3.5 is equal to negative 1/5, parentheses 4 minus 1.5. Now I can solve it, and I can actually get an answer for y here. So I distribute. Okay, this is, well, actually, I don't have to distribute there. Sorry, I would just subtract first. 4 minus 1.5 is 2.5. I've got negative 1/5 times 2.5. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. Let's use a calculator. I got 1/5, which is 0.2 times 2.5. That's going to give me a negative 0.5 here. Things work out. And I'm going to add that 3.5 over. And look at that. We got rid of the decimal. So I ended up with y is equal to 3. That tells me my circumcenter now is 4, 3. It's right at that point, 4, 3. Okay? And that's the work we had to do. So as a reminder, they gave you one either horizontal or vertical side. Find that perpendicular bisector, right? Go to the midpoint, go straight up or straight over if we had the other one. That will tell you either your x value or your y value. So that told us our x value. Then we needed to create one of the perpendicular bisectors for the other two sides. I chose AB. I found the midpoint. I found the perpendicular slope. So I found the slope of AB, made it perpendicular. I took those two. I put it into point slope form. I didn't even change it over to slope intercept. Didn't have to. Kept it in point slope. I plugged in what I knew, which was that 4 for x. I plugged in what I knew, and then I solved it for y to get our circumcenter at 4, 3. Now I could have plugged in, I could have used AC instead of AB. That's fine too. Find the midpoint of AC, take your slope, make it perpendicular, and then plug in your 4 for that equation. Okay? So that's the process behind this. Okay, so watch that again if you need to. Make sure we understand the process. And again, it's going to be different. It's going to be slightly different if they give you something like this, right? Because then we're going to find there's our perpendicular bisector. That's going to tell me y is equal to a number. But then the rest of the process is the same. I'm going to find an equation for this perpendicular bisector, right? Put it into point slope form using the midpoint and the perpendicular slope. And then I would plug this y value in and solve it. Okay? Either way, we're going to end up with that circumcenter.